this space quite comfortably. I want to welcome our candidates. I know them both professionally and personally, so thank y'all for joining us this morning. And I want to thank Mike with the Mike King Show. He's been our one of our radio partners this year. We've got a Chamber Wednesday segment that we do about twice a month, every other week, that you can catch us on his show bright and early, or catch us post-show on LinkedIn and Facebook. So when we thought about bringing this to our community, Mike was our natural. Let's pick the phone up and ask Mike to help us facilitate these conversations this morning. I think Ian has given you guys a little bit of the layout. This isn't a debate at all. This is really an opportunity for you all to answer your own individual questions. Mike has a set of questions to go through. I hope we get through all of them. We'll see how we go on time. We've got about 90 seconds for each question. He's going to let you guys do a little intro. They're not really response questions in the sense of back and forth. These are questions on your thoughts, your ideas, what you see taking place should you win your nomination in November. And then at the end, you'll have several minutes for a wrap up and closing statements as well. As I mentioned, we're going to be recording these. We're going to actually set up a series of release through our social media partner, through our YouTube channel, and we'll turn these back out and have them running now through election, where members and community at large can tune in and listen to you all's thoughts and ideas and the work that you all have been doing in the community. So without further ado, I see our chair-elect is on. So I do want to give a shout out to Amy DeFore. She's our incoming chairwoman and is on the call. So I would be remiss if I didn't give her a quick hello for joining us for this morning. And as she's preparing to take the helm in January herself. So without further ado, Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Alrighty, thank you, Danielle. I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor to be here to talk to the candidates. As she had said, my name is Mike King. I'm the host of On the Mic with Mike, ESPN Richmond, 5 to 7 every day. We're a business show, and we're proud to partner with the Chesterfield Chamber for Chamber Wednesdays. They're an outstanding partner. What we're going to do is, ladies, we're going to give you the opportunity as an intro. We're going to be respectful of time. As she had said, we'll have 90 seconds per question, and that way we'll be able to try and get through as many of them as we can. We will start off with Kim Taylor, and then we'll go to Lashrecse.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. I'm really proud that I'm the Republican nominee for the 63rd House of Delegates District. I'm a lifelong Virginian. I grew up in Sussex County, which, if you're not familiar with that, is mostly pine trees and peanuts. Really love the fact that I grew up right across the road from my grandparents, and I'm proud that I'm the granddaughter of a Virginia farmer. I'm also very proud that I'm the great-granddaughter of Ukrainian immigrants who came here in 1917 for a life of peace and freedom. I'm a mom and a small business owner. That's why I'm running. Last year was a turbulent, chaotic year, and I've just not been happy with the direction Virginia's heading. And it's time for me to give back now, and I'm ready to be the change for the 63rd.
Alrighty, thank you. Lashrecse.
Yes, first and foremost, I want to express my appreciation to the Chesterfield Chamber for presenting this opportunity for us to share our vision for the 63rd District. I've proudly represented the 63rd District since about 2016, a resident of the city of Petersburg, where I raised my 2 school-age children, Blaine and Blake, along with my husband. You know, I am someone who has spent most of my life growing up understanding survival firsthand. And as we have tried to transition out of this pandemic, So many families that we represent in this community are trying to do the very same thing. And so while I am proud of the work that we have done to not only strengthen individuals and families throughout this district, I recognize all of the work that continues to need to be done. And I look forward to doing that work as we come out of this November election and get back to business.
Alrighty, thank you for the introduction. The first topic we're going to touch on is education and workforce development. Lashrecse, we'll start with you. Can you briefly explain your overall philosophy on K-12 education?
Thank you so much. For K-12, I believe that we need to be educating the whole child. That means from the buildings that they are attending to school in, to the wraparound services that we make available within our schools, as well as the support we offer our teachers. I'm proud that for the last 2 sessions, not only have I been the leader in trying to fully fund our standards of quality here in Virginia, but I've been named Legislator of the Year by the Virginia Education Association because of my efforts to make sure that we're providing all of the resources that our students need, especially coming out of a virtual environment and this pandemic heading into the next academic cycle, and to ensure our schools can operate safely because of the need to keep our kids healthy.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes, so as a mother of a daughter who's a product of the public education system, I'm really proud she's going to be graduating from a public university this year in December. I've experienced firsthand public education, and coming out of this pandemic, our kids have a lot of catching up to do, especially kids in rural areas like Dinwiddie and disadvantaged areas like Petersburg that didn't have the resources our Chesterfield kids did. So we not only do we have to catch our kids up on academically, but now that parents have had a chance to see what the curriculum is through virtual learning, and parents are very upset. And I can tell you that this curriculum has gone on for a very long time. I remember when my daughter was in public high school, and some of the content that she was asked to read and study were pornographic. It was very disturbing, but we didn't know how to fight it. So I want to make sure parents have a voice in their child's school, that all students have quality or have accessible and quality education, and it's time for a change. We cannot continue in this direction that we have in Virginia. Our education system is an absolute mess.
Alrighty, thank you. Ms. Aird, are you in favor of getting rid of the SOLs, and what's your plan to get it away from being teaching to the best time for SOL and focusing more on teaching the content and curriculums?
Thank you so much. As you know, or may know, for some time, we have had a work group through the Department of Education that has actively been assessing the SOLs here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that work group has already recommended the removal of several SOLs and is actively now working to determine how do you properly assess the content that students are learning. Not only is it important that we ensure we have a curriculum that ensures that our students are prepared for the 21st century, but we have to actually ensure that they are also receiving that content effectively. And so I am in favor of the work that this work group of experts has already done to remove several SOLs. And I look forward to continuing to work with the Department of Education to get to eliminate additional SOLs, but also ensure that we do have proper assessment measures.
Ms. Taylor?
The SOLs have not done our kids justice. As a mother who has seen her child go through the public school system, I can tell you firsthand that I remember when she was a small child in elementary school, and she was taking spelling, and I remember her getting A's in spelling, and then a short while later could not spell that same word because she was being taught how to take a test. She was not being taught how to think critically. The kids weren't truly learning the material. They were memorizing the material so that they could pass a test. And it's done our kids a great disservice. We have got to do a better job. Not all kids are good test takers. And so a lot of this testing is not an accurate picture of what our students can have the potential to accomplish or what they have accomplished.
Ms. Taylor, so now that you had touched on testing, Virginia mandates 2 credentials for students when they graduate high school. How does that play into testing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So Virginia mandates 2 credentials for students when they graduate high school. How does that play into testing?
I'm not terribly familiar with this test. My daughter's been out of high school for 4 years now. But again, we have to do better. We have to teach critical thinking. We have to teach, we can't be teaching kids how to take a test. At the end of the day, we have to come up with a better standard of testing to find out what our kids are actually learning or what they're not.
Ms. Aird?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So Virginia mandates 2 credentials for students when they graduate high school. How does that play into testing?
Yeah, as I shared just recently, I think it's critically important that our students are leaving their education process with access to training, access to preparedness for employment, and assessment of skills is necessary. And so while that may not be an SOL test, there are a number of tools that can be used to continue to attest both the effectiveness of our educators as well as whether or not the content has been received effectively from our students. And no matter where someone goes, whether it be a workplace or future involvement, assessment of skills is going to be critical. And so I'm in full agreement that in order to receive these credentials, some sort of assessment is necessary.
Ms. Aird, could you talk about the importance of continuing to support training centers like CCWA and the other community colleges?
Yeah, so professionally, I'm chief of staff at Richard Bland College of William and Mary, and we are a 2-year institution where we focus on ensuring that as you're transitioning into the workforce, you do have either access to a credential like perhaps an associate's degree, but if an associate's degree is not best suited for you, that you are trained properly for a position in your community. And so I believe strongly that sometimes it might not be a college education that you need to seek in our community colleges, as well as our training centers here in our district and throughout the Commonwealth. They help ensure that they're filling the gap, that you get the training and the credentials that you need to qualify for the positions that we have available. So I'm very much in favor of those. And the General Assembly has taken a number of actions to continue to try and support and fund those centers as well, which I've been greatly proud of.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor, can you talk about the importance of continuing supporting the centers like CCWA and the other community colleges?
Absolutely. Well, first I'd like to just say that Chesterfield and our area schools are doing a great job of vocational and trade education. And I think that's where it starts. I mean, we have to really rethink education, and not everybody needs a liberal arts degree anymore. My generation, people said, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. Well, many people my age in their 40s are, that have college education, they have degrees, are going into HVAC, they're starting plumbing companies, and it's education is ongoing anymore. It's not just a 4-year degree. And I encourage people, please look into certificate training, and like Chesterfield Public Schools has a great automotive technician program. And as someone who owns 2 automotive shops, there's a great shortage of qualified technicians out there. A number of years ago, the average age of the master technician was 55 years old. And that's very alarming. We do not have qualified people in our workforce to fill the jobs that are available. So, I really encourage high school students to consider certificate training, whether it's an IT, pharmaceutical technician training, automotive repair training, HVAC. These are excellent paying jobs, excellent careers, and it's going to save them a lot of money and investment of time.
All righty, thank you. So ladies, we've touched on the education workforce development. This is the Chesterfield Candidate Forum. We are here, and these are candidates for the 63rd. The next topic we're going to touch on is healthcare affordability. So Mrs. Aird, a significant issue facing businesses is rising healthcare costs. One way that companies can combat healthcare costs is through group insurance plans. Do you support the expansion of group insurance plans like multiple employer welfare arrangements, those like MEWAs, to make healthcare more affordable?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. You know, I talk to individuals and families every day, and this is the number one issue that they're concerned about. How can they continue to afford the rising healthcare costs? And so I know that this is a concern for employers as well. You know, there has been legislation before the General Assembly, at least in the last two sessions, that have tried to expand group plans, and that is something I have voted in support of. I absolutely believe that we've made great strides here in Virginia with the expansion of Medicaid, but that is not enough. There are still so many people that are in need. And so I'm willing to continue to support that legislation if it comes before us, and do everything I can to help drive greater affordability, both for employers as well as for families and individuals.
Ms. Taylor, so same question. A significant issue facing businesses is facing rising healthcare costs. One way that companies can combat that is healthcare costs is through the group insurance health plans. Do you support the expansion of group healthcare plans like multiple employer welfare arrangements?
I think we have to really get creative with our insurance options and how we organize that for employers. I'm completely for having association healthcare plans. I'm a member of the Virginia Automotive Association, and we've been very interested for a long time in being able to form our own insurance plans to be able to use among the members for better rates, better coverage. Personally, in our businesses, we use a self-funded plan. It's private market. It's a great option for small businesses because we're basically using our premiums every month to pay for the claims in the previous month. So we're actually able to acquire a surplus at the end of the year, which we can give back to employees, fund our insurance for the following year. It's been a great option for us, and there's lots of great private healthcare options. I think we have to do a better job for state-funded healthcare like Medicaid. We've come through a turbulent, chaotic year last year with the pandemic, and I don't think any of us could have anticipated how devastating that was going to be. So now is the perfect time to reevaluate where the holes are, what we could do better, like with processes and procedures moving forward.
Alrighty, thank you. So as the word of 2021 and 2020 is pivoting, we're going to pivot over to economic development and the business climate. So Ms. Taylor, over the past several years, we've seen Virginia adopt a number of clean energy policies that increase costs for businesses. How do we balance environmental stewardship with the competitiveness of Virginia's economy?
Well, we absolutely have to be good stewards of our environment. I grew up in Sussex County. I live in Dinwiddie County. I absolutely love the country. We have to do a better job. And for a very long time, we were not taking care of our environment, and it's costing us. It's coming at a great cost to us now. You know, I think we have to have some common sense when it comes to business development and the environment. You know, but also at the same time, the market has to drive decision making. I don't think the government can mandate electric vehicles. I don't think it should be mandating our energy. That should be coming from the private sector.
Alrighty, Ms. Aird, over the past several years, we've seen Virginia adopt a number of clean energy policies that increase costs for businesses. How do we balance environmental stewardship with the competitiveness of the economy?
Great, thank you so much. You know, I am so proud that Virginia has led the way for the South with the passage of the Virginia Clean Economy Act. We are 2 years since having passed that legislation, and we are already seeing the positive impacts that it's having here in the Commonwealth. And I would say, contrary to belief, there are many businesses that are at the table helping to shape the energy policy here in the Commonwealth. And the number of conversations I've had with the larger employers here in our district, they want to be good stewards of the environment. They want to enact policies that are attributing to us making progress on the energy front and on the environmental front here in the Commonwealth. And so it is not a battle. They are at the table collectively working with lawmakers to ensure that their costs, their investments are actively being considered as we are making these policy decisions around the environment. And I think that we will be able to take a look probably in the next year or so to see how the Virginia Clean Economy Act has impacted industry and what adjustments and or changes need to be made from that.
Well, staying on that topic, Ms. Ayers, how do we recalibrate policies aimed at protecting workers' rights, particularly around worker classification, to ensure entrepreneurship and business growth are not stymied?
No, I think that is incredibly important. We have to, especially there's so much disruption both in large and private small businesses right now as a result of this pandemic. We have to be innovative about not only how we're classifying workers, but how we get families and individuals to feel safe about returning to work, especially for those frontline workers and for those positions that are paying less than the minimum wage. And so I believe that we have made some progress, but we haven't quite gone far enough. And so I invite innovation, I invite collaboration, and I invite employers to continue to share with policymakers their needs as we all try to come out of this pandemic together and encourage strength and growth in our workforce.
Ms. Taylor, same question. How do we recalibrate policies aimed at protecting workers' rights, particularly around worker classification, to ensure that entrepreneurship and business growth are not stymied?
Well, you know, our economy has been devastated for years to come because of the economic shutdown last year. I mean, there was, as a business owner, that's all we did last year was pivot. We were constantly adapting to be compliant with mandates. We were constantly concerned about our employees' safety, the safety and happiness of our customers. We had the pressure of supporting 18 Virginia families. You know, we did not take that lightly. That's very important to us. Our employees are like our family. And so we're proud that we kept all 18 employees. We kept their jobs, they kept their benefits through the worst of it. But now people have to go back to work. It breaks my heart that the businesses that made it through the pandemic are now failing because they don't have the workforce available. And it's time to go back to work. My daughter works part-time, or rather almost full-time, at a clothing retail store, and they're bringing temporary workers in who are demanding that they not work weekends and nights. And you know, my daughter is stuck with it. She stayed employed. She's not taking stimulus money and unemployment. She's working. And, you know, we have a lot to overcome, but there's going to be hard choices to be made because our economy it has to recover. And there's just a lot of hard choices that have to be made moving forward.
Alrighty, ladies, we're going to move over to the housing market. So, Ms. Taylor, the housing prices increase as economic development accelerates. What's the role of state policy ensuring the availability of affordable housing in light of population growth?
Well, I think a lot can be done through in the market. We've got, in particular in Petersburg, we have beautiful old homes that need renovation, that need to be put on the market to sell. And you know, I think we have an opportunity to make areas like Petersburg and lower income areas in the district, you know, give those tax incentives to people to buy homes, to rehab homes, and to move back in. I've, you know, talked to many people in Petersburg who said, you know, this is my hometown. I've lived here all my life, or I've lived here 40 years, and people are devastated at what they're seeing. The decay and the blight. We need to make Petersburg a place where people want to live and work again. And that's what I plan to do when I'm elected.
Alrighty, this is the Chesterfield Candidate Forum. Mike King Biz here. We are talking with the candidates for the 63rd. So Ms. Aird, same question for you. As housing prices increase, as economic development accelerates, what's the role of state policy in ensuring the availability of affordable housing in light of population growth?
Thank you so much. You know, it's so critically important that state legislators respect the role of local government, but also understands how to equip local government with tools to combat challenges that exist in their local community, especially around housing. So for me, it's been great to put bills forward that have successfully become law, that have equipped our local government with the tools to combat the blight in our communities. But when you talk about economic development growth and the housing market, we really have to take a holistic approach as state leaders. And so that means you're not just targeting housing. You're targeting improving our school systems. You're targeting improving all of those things that help lift a community up, because that will invite individuals in to want to live in a community and want to be part of growing that community. And so just this last session, I was extremely excited to get $10 million secured for the pharmaceutical cluster that's evolving locally in the Tri-Cities region. And what that will do will help balance out some of the needs that the local government has, help bring and drive that economic development around that cluster, and that will directly have an impact on the housing market and the dollars that are available to improve the community as a whole as well.
All right, candidates, the next question is going to require you to give us some information on acronyms as we go through this right here, because I'm speaking English like a lot of folks, and what we're getting ready to offer may require some explanation. So the question is, how do Ms. Taylor, we'll start with you. How do we optimize the relationship between VEDP and local EDAs and IDAs to ensure that Virginia maintains its status as the best state to do business?
I'm overloaded with acronyms too these days, so.
I understand. So so what we're looking at is the VEDP. So Ms. Aird, can you help us with that?
Yeah, sure. So, the VEDP, Virginia Economic Development Partnership, they're the driving arm of economic development here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And you mentioned our IDAs at the local level, as well as the EDA, the Economic Development Agency at the federal level. All of these work conjunctively or collaboratively is the better word, to ensure that we have the support. And I just mentioned the pharmaceutical cluster that we're growing in Petersburg in the Tri-Cities region. That was a huge, huge partnership, both between all of those agencies. And we continue to try and work with them as we try to attract additional industry to support that cluster as well. And so that is a huge element of trying to grow and strengthen economic development in the Commonwealth and our region.
Ms. Taylor, would you like to add anything to that?
Absolutely. So, I agree there needs to be economic development in Petersburg, but before we do that, we have major infrastructure issues. We can't eat. We've got some of the poorest parts of Petersburg, disadvantaged parts, the inner city, that need revitalization. They need new water and sewer pipes. There's pipes in a system there that's been there since colonial times, 1800s. We need to fix that. I just recently had a conversation with a fire captain, and he said we are one fire away from being on the national news. And that was a powerful statement, because we've got beautiful historic structures, beautiful historic homes in Petersburg, and all it takes is one fire to wipe us out. He said, when they plug into a hydrant to fight a fire, they may not have the water pressure that's needed. So we can't expect businesses to come in like grocery stores and food deserts. We can't expect people to come in and bring this economic development if this infrastructure is not in place for it to happen.
Mike, if I might, because I'm sure you want your viewers to have accurate information, I'm just going to add a little asterisk there. I made reference to the $10 million that was secured and offered by the state for this economic development project. And I just wanted to add that is for the infrastructure. It is for water and sewage upgrades and improvements. And so as part of bringing this economic development, that's a generation changing project, both to Petersburg and to the region. It literally is to improve the infrastructure. So I just wanted to make sure to note that.
Alrighty, thank you. So just to put a bow on this, the EDA is the Economic Development Authority, the IDA is the Industrial Development Authority, and the VEDP is the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. Alrighty, so now that we have that out of the way, the last topic we're going to touch on is the state versus local authority. Ms. Aird, we'll start with you. 39 states, including Virginia, operate under the Dillon Rule. What's your general outlook on the future of the Dillon Rule? Do you think that Virginia should expand the autonomy of localities by allowing them to apply for home rule status?
Thank you so much. I think the Dillon Rule has worked well here in our Commonwealth of Virginia. I believe that it has allowed the relationship to function in a way where the state can ensure consistency throughout our localities, but also to make sure that before a locality takes a particular action. And I should say for your listeners that, you know, the Dillon rule is making sure that before a local government or a locality takes a certain action, and we'll use blight, for example, because we were just talking about that, it has to go through the approval of the General Assembly. That's for charter changes, that's for a number of things. And so if we're talking about the example of blight, you know, I mentioned the legislation that would equip the local government with being able to impose certain tax increases on blighted property. The locality could not have done that if the General Assembly did not give them the permission and the tools to do that. And so I believe that has worked well. It allows for collaboration and support collectively between the two levels. And I think it should remain that way.
All righty, thank you for that, Ms. Taylor. Well, same question. 39 states, including Virginia, operate under the Dillon rule. What's your general outlook on the future of the Dillon rule? Do you think that Virginia should expand the autonomy of localities by allowing them to apply for home rule status?
You know, the Dillon rule it's not been working. I mean, we can just see we have a Ramada Inn that's falling apart, that's been vandalized. That's the first thing you see on 95 and 80 when you're coming off of 85. It's atrocious. That's people's first impression of Petersburg. And, you know, so obviously what our representation and what's been going on in the district has not been working. We need a change. We need, we cannot keep on the way we have been there. You know, we have a beautiful historic city that people absolutely love. Petersburg was once an economic powerhouse in our state, and we have to get it back. So whether that means getting back some more local control or not, but we need to do something different, because whatever we're doing in Petersburg right now is not working.
And Mike, if I might say, this
Yes.
is a perfect example of understanding government. The Ramada Inn that can be seen as you travel through 95 and 85 has nothing to do with the Dillon rule. That property is actively in litigation with the developer and the local government. And that has nothing to do with the Dillon rule at all. So I just want to make sure we're not confusing viewers and conflating, you know, the understanding of the power and authority between the state and local government.
Ready, this is the Chesterfield Chamber Delegates Forum. Kim Taylor here is Lashrecse Aird is with them. I'm sorry. We're here talking to them about topics. We've gone from state and local authority. We've touched on economic development, healthcare, as well as education and workforce development. We come to the part of the program where you have the opportunity to tell your story and give our listeners and viewers an idea of your position so that they have a more holistic view. We've touched on some topics here, but something now is your time. You have about 5 minutes. And so Ms. Taylor, we'll start with you on this here.
Well, thank you again for the Chesterfield Chamber for hosting this. Thank you, Mike, for being with us this morning and being our moderator. I really appreciate the support that I've been shown throughout this campaign. I'm really proud that I'm the Republican nominee for the 63rd. Like I said, I'm a mom and a small business owner. I've never run for office before, but the difference is that because I'm a small business owner, I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. I know what it means to be accountable. I know what it means to be accessible. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and work hard to get solutions. We need solutions. We have a lot of problems in the 63rd. We have a lot of problems in Virginia. I'm ready to be the change. I can't tell you how many people I've knocked on over 12,000 doors. I've had great conversations with folks, and people are very excited that I'm running because they know that I'm going to bring change to our district and to our state. So I just appreciate the opportunity to be here to speak to the chamber members and the public. And I would look forward to speaking with any of you soon. If you have any questions, you can reach me at info@kimtaylorva.com. And thank you again for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Ms. Aird.
Thank you so much. I again want to express my appreciation both to you, Mike, as well as to the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. Again, my name is Lashrecse Aird. I've been serving in the General Assembly since 2016, and I'm asking your listeners, the families and individuals of the 63rd District, to give me their vote on November the 2nd. When I first decided to run to office, I looked back at my humble beginnings, the daughter of a teenage mother, a young naval torpedo man, who, as you can imagine, had any number of barriers and struggles to the success that they've had to date. But with those struggles, I learned the idea of what it means to survive. I learned grit. And when I look at our community, both the successes and the challenges, I use those early beginning days to drive the work that I am doing in the General Assembly. And to date, I've been a voice unlike any other voice, unapologetic, driving for change, as well as having a vision. I know that so many families are experiencing what I once experienced growing up, which was hardship, which was having to try and survive each and every day. And I know that there is so much work to be done. But since being in office in 2016, when I was first elected under Republican rule, I was put on prominent legislative committees to help me drive that change. And to date, we've been able to drive education funding. We've been able to secure funding for historical economic development projects in our region and in my district. But I also know that the needs that need to occur moving forward are items that I have been working on and will continue to work on if reelected. Each and every day, I talk with families who are so proud to be residents of this district, and I have been proud to represent them. I have not let them down. I will not let them down. And I appreciate the opportunity today to answer your questions. I appreciate the opportunity to explain, how much I value their trust in me, and I'm asking for their continued support. I too am also happy to answer any questions. airdfordelegate.com is where I can be reached. And I can also be called or text at 804-452-70676. Thank you so much.
One of the things I'd just like to have you guys to give you appreciation for stepping into the arena to make the world a better place, and have your views, and we appreciate it here. What I want to touch on two things really quickly, because I know Danielle handed me a microphone and that's kind of dangerous. I want to touch on where's the next generation of leaders for community leaders come from? How do you inspire them to get involved to make the community a better place? And the last part of that is what gives you hope? Ms. Aird, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was just recently at Cosby High School, and they have what's called a politics club. And, this club is made up of their high school seniors, and they invite the candidates and their elected officials to come and speak. And it was so exciting to hear how engaged they were and the amazing questions that they had about government and the responsibility of their leaders. I think things like going to where our young people are, and as someone who's also actively a millennial, communicating with them in a way that they understand, I think is critically important. I have always been someone to invite interns and continue to be a mentor to both young women as well as just young people who are interested in leadership development or government in general to come and work alongside me. And I think that continuing to do that will also help build up the next group of leaders because that's how I got exposed. And I think that I have a responsibility to do the same.
Well, thank you. Ms. Taylor?
Yes, I think we're in an environment, in an atmosphere right now that everyone is kind of reevaluating themselves and their lives and what they want. And so I think now is a great opportunity for young people to get more involved in areas that interest them. I'm absolutely thrilled that I too went to the Cosby High School Political Club Forum and took great questions from students. They are amazing. They're going to be great leaders one day. I highly recommend it. I actually spoke with them about mentorship. I think personally and professionally, getting a mentor or being a mentor is one of the best things you can do in your life, whether it's for your business or for you're having a personal struggle. Get a mentor, find someone you respect that's not going to be afraid to tell you things you don't want to hear. I think now is a great time to reach out to young people because I think they need leadership right now. They need security. And so now that I've been able to step away from my business and go into to be a public servant, it's my time to give back. And I'm just absolutely thrilled that I have this opportunity to run, to campaign. I've met such amazing people throughout this process, and I'm looking forward to serving people when I'm elected in November.
Great, ladies, I'd like to thank you for your input. I'm going to turn it over to the esteemed leader of the Chesterfield Chamber. Danielle, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you both, Kim and Lashrecse, for joining us this morning. Thank you, Mike. You all had, the three of you, you all had the heavy lift of going first. I think we have 5 more to go over the next several days. But I appreciate you all going first. You've set the bar really high for the candidates in the other districts to jump through the hoops. We will have an opportunity for people to make comments and ask questions when these go out on our social media platforms. So we'll make sure to tag your campaigns in those posts when they go out, so you all can see what the community is asking and what concerns they have and what thoughts that they have as well. And we'll have those out at the beginning of next week for you all to see, and Ian will follow back up. In the meantime, happy campaigning. There's several weeks to go. Enjoy your door knocking. I know I've had mine in my community. They've been out knocking on doors in our neighborhood. So happy campaigning and good luck to you both.